So welcome to Clip Studio. It might look a little bit different than when I last showed it. It went through a UI update and I've changed my workflow around just a bit. This is more for just my art and not quite for clips for creation of this. But you know, don't be confused if it looks different than last time. All right. So first of all, I am just going to locate the image that I am looking for. So it would be in Documents, Books, Dungeons and Dragons, AlienRPG, and then Odyssey of Fate. And we're going to open up the test map. All right. So here is everything that we did in Dungeon Painter Studio. And it's pretty bare bones, yes, but we're going to turn this into an Alien RPG map proper. So first of all, I want to, of course, also import the other image that we created, the grid, so we can lay it out over. The grid is specifically designed to only show up really when you have the map down. It's very nice, and we're going to be editing it so it only shows up on the map as well, so it looks very clean. There are not grids in the original version, but I have decided to add grids to my maps simply to make them more practical for other uses. um, you can't really use the maps in the book as the map. You have to, you have to like take it, expand it, stretch it for things. It's difficult. So I think this is a good compromise. But we're going to hide that for now by clicking this little eyeball. All right. So first of all, in here, I'm going to click on Import in the subview, and I'm going to find my little guide that I created for this, which is going to be called mappalette.clip. And these are all of the main colors that are in the used in the maps. It's just basically 3 colors and that's it. And we're going to be using this to take colors and color things appropriately. So for this background, what I'm going to do for the layout, I'm going to click on this button right here for lock transparent pixels. So that way, if I ever try to edit it, I will not only edit what is present here. So then I'm going to click on this paint bucket tool to fill it with this black color, and it's going to color it in black. Now this is the exact black used. It is not a pure black. It is very dark green. So do not use pure black. This is very, very close to pure black, but it is not pure black. So just be careful when you do that, or else some effects that I'm going to show you will not show up properly. All right. All right. So after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to here. I'm going to make a new layer and I'm going to make paper. All right. And this paper color, I'm going to click on this and I'm going to select this color and press OK. And it's going to make the background. So this is starting to look more like an Alien RPG map. It's still missing a few things that are important. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you about the special tab that I have recently discovered. And it is currently, where did I put this? Right here. So it's the layer property panel. If you cannot find the panel, just go up to Window and click on Layer Property and it will show up for you. Right? So this layer property panel is very important. First of all, I'm going to set my color as this. And I'm going to make sure that my layout is selected, this one right here. And then I'm going to go to my layer property panel. And I'm going to click on this thing that says border effect. And it's going to make a border around the image that you have. Now I've done enough calculations, and in most situations, the correct width for this is 7 pixels. So like that. You can turn off anti-aliasing if you want. It makes it look a bit more crisp. I like to keep it on. That's up to you. And I'm going to select this to make it the color of Alien RPG maps that I have selected previously. So this is the basic layout. This is much simpler, right? Now it's not done, obviously. There's a lot more we could add. For example, we need to add places and locations for things and all that. And, you know, we need to make this, have more context. So let's do that. So first of all, I'm going to select a text. I've been experimenting with some text to show off that are free. You can just find any text online to use. It doesn't quite matter. But if you want something that is as accurate as possible to Alien RPG maps, what you're looking for is, I think it was data control. Or I could be wrong. Area 1. No, I think I'm incorrect about that. Let's see. Which one was it? Uh, I should have had this prepared ahead of time. OCR extended. There it is. So our OCR extended is the one that you want if you want this to be absolutely accurate to the Alien RPG maps, because this is the text that they use. I'm going to size it up just a bit, holding shift to make sure it stays pixel perfect. I'm just going to call this um, hangar room in all caps. Hangar room. Let's call this armory. Make sure in order to prevent you stopping you have from having to like change your color all the time, before you put down your text, make sure you change this color to white. Otherwise, you'll have to change it every time. All this hallway. And size it up so it's about the same size. All right. So that's pretty simple. But what about the icons that you see in maps? Well, I've gone ahead and I have extracted a lot of them from various sources, and I'll post a link to them like my previous tutorial. So for now, I do have these prepared for me, and I have them in map icons right here. Oh, no, I think I moved them. Let's see. Map markers. Here we go. So I have all of the ones used in the game, and I've also made a few for security, which was a request. So I'll include all of these. But let's open up all of them. And there we go. And so in this situation, they are all selected. So I'm just going to press Control T to resize them all to the size that I want. And I think this size is pretty good. And I'm going to press enter. And now I can just move them around. If you click on this operation tool right here, you'll be able to select by object, and this will ignore layers. So you can then just click on whatever you want to move and it will move things as necessary. And you can just use this to spread around your map however you want. You might not have to use all of them at once, but it's good to at least load them all in so you can make that decision as you decide it. And you just, populate them, try to make them look nice, try to line them up as best as you can, and just put them wherever makes sense or whatever you want to use. You can find context for this via the map legends in the various books, so I won't go into that here. Um, and you can always, of course, come up with your own icons. That's always an option, like my security icons, which I came up with two versions. I think the one with the shield is better and without the S, but there you go. This is a good map. It's a little jumbled and has too much stuff in one place, I would think, but it's pretty good. So what now? Well, what do we have to do now? Well, I would like to finish adding this grid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and on the name of it, I'm going to click rasterize to make it an image. So to make it a full image, not a separate image that's being loaded in. And now it is part of it's now properly part of this file. And then I'm going to right click on test map and I'm going to click selection from layer, create selection. And then I'm going to press Control, Shift, and I to invert this. Go to the grid and press Control X. And that way it will cut it specifically to that. If you want to avoid messing with the grid, like maybe you want to make layout changes, which I do kind of want to make a layout change, what you would do instead is I would undo this. What you would do instead is you would simply click on this button right here that says clip to layer below. And it will make it ignore it will cause it to ignore anything that isn't linked here. So if there's transparency on the layer below it, it will not show up, which is perfect. And also something I want to point out, you may have noticed, unlike the previous tutorial, I did not show you how to make a curved inward surface. And that's because that has been taken over largely by Clip Studio. Now, I am aware of the grid layout of this version. I'm aware of how big the grid sizes are in Clip Studio because of how I exported it for Roll20 at 70 pixels per square. So I can actually use that here. If I go down to here and I click on grid, I'll make a grid. And this grid is not to grid. It's really bad, but I can modify the grid. I'm going to set the gap to 70 pixels and the number of divisions to 2 so I can simulate halfway grids, like Dungeon Painter. So I've effectively made my grid system similar to how it works in Dungeon Painter. And I want to make, say, a curved bit here. So I'm going to do this, make sure there's a bit touching the inner corner, select that all, select this, and I'm press Control X. And if you would look at that, because of the outline I've done, it will automatically edit the wall to look right with whatever I want to do with this now. I can now freely edit this however I want, and it will be reflected. And I think that's really good. And I'm really glad that I figured out this because you can make pretty much anything you want now. And once you are at this point, you can just, experiment with layout changes. And if it looks great, then, it looks great. Otherwise, you can undo it. But now you can make a bit more complicated geometry and map layouts for your thing. And because the grid is clipping underneath, if I turn it off, the grid will also change to accommodate for any changes that you make, which is also great. But I'm not quite happy with the color of this grid. I feel like it kind of stands out a bit too much. So what can I do about that? Well, what I've chosen to do is I do the same thing with the grid as I did with the layout, and I lock transparent pixels. And I'm going to select the color of the walls, and I'm simply going to paint it in a few times. That way, you don't see it bleeding onto the walls, and it also looks a bit darker, so it's less obvious, but you can still see it. And you can also still use it to line up grids if you make your map a little bit wrong in Roll20 or other various programs. This looks great. Um, let's add the CRT texture. No, the CRT texture that I use is just one I found randomly online. You do not need to use this texture. It's just nice to have. I will include it. I will include a link to it if people want it. But other than that, I'm just going to bring it over like that. Maybe make it a bit bigger. I want the texture to be a bit larger than what it is. Like that. All right, that looks good. And then I'm going to simply put this on top of everything. I'm going to drag it all the way to the top. And I'm going to set this to soft light. All right, but this is a little too strong. You might ask, well, yes, it is. Just lower the opacity down a bit so it looks about what you would want. And there you go. This is a map. There's a lot more you can do, obviously, and you're free to experiment. Like, for example, if all your icons are for sure in the right place, you can merge the layers together. That way it takes up a little less space, and when you want to load up the map again, it doesn't take as long if you want to make a small change or edit. But other than that, this is pretty much done. And it looks pretty good, if I do say so myself. Um, You can use this for anything. Uh, the only thing you're limited to is the map size in Dungeon Painter, but you get a lot of size for Dungeon Painter, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. If you want to click up Clip Studio for yourself, it goes on sale about once a year at least for about 20 bucks. You can get the Pro version. The Pro version is the normal version. Don't be scared by the Pro name. It's just the normal version, and it is very good. And it has nothing over the EX version that I would think is crucial to map making. You can do everything that I've done here in the Pro version for sure. There is nothing stopping you from that. Other than that, this is a complete map. But however, what if you are trying to make a different version of the map. For example, what if you want to make this map more friendly to a printer? Because this is not the best map for a printer, right? Well, I can show you how to do that. It's very simple. You don't even have to change anything. What all you have to do is add a gradient overlay. And what a gradient overlay is it basically it's a layer over the top of the map that will change the colors as necessary. So let's see about making a print-friendly version. First of all, for a print-friendly version, I would turn off the CRT texture because that's just gonna create more stuff for the printer to do if you're gonna print these out. So that's important. I'm gonna go up to Layer, I'm gonna go to New Correction Layer, I'm gonna choose Gradient Map, and it's gonna open up this. Now I've pre-made some AlienRPG gradients for you guys all to look at. So we have one for the handout filter, which is the secondary version, which is an optional map that you see in Chariot of the Gods. And if I clicked it, it will make it look like this. And this is as close as I can get to this is as close as I could get to that version of the map. And it looks pretty good. And you just have to apply that. And just like that, it looks like the handout filter and it looks great. And you can toggle this as well. It's not set in stone once you change it. This is completely optional and completely something you have to edit and toggle. All right, but let's continue on and make that print-friendly version. The print-friendly version is just this one, like this, and it is designed to look like this. If you don't want the gray background there, all you have to do is change this paper texture to white. No, you have to change this paper texture to black, and it will turn it into a pure white. And just like that, you have this very printer-friendly version with black text on a white background, and it looks very nice. If you caught on about that, the original thing, you'll know that this is not a pure black. So this is also not a pure white. There is a small touch of color. And I don't know if a printer will be able to pick up on this, but I also like to make this a pure black, simply just to make it easier on a printer. And there you go. You have something that is purely print friendly. And a lot of people have been thanking me for stuff like this. And it's really easy to do on Clip Studio. This is insanely easy. And this is why I use Clip Studio. It just helps me optimize everything. It makes everything so much easier. Now, what's the other one that I have? Let me look over this. Layer, new correction layer, gradient map. This other one I have is for tokens. So if you make a custom token and the colors do not look proper, this token overlay will look like it. And if you want to replicate what I've done here, you just have to take a look at my gradient and where the arrows are. So I have an arrow right here, and this completely changes how this looks. Right? And luckily I have everything saved. So if I double click on it again, it will return to me. But you just have to mess with some of these arrows. See these arrows where everything is, where these colors are. It's a little hard for me to share some of these with you. I don't know if I can copy and like give you these. However, they're here, right? If someone ever really wants me to recolor something, just send me a message. If you make the map exactly like how I did, these gradients should apply just fine. If you guys are having trouble replicating these gradient maps, just send them to me. I'll recolor them for you. It's no big deal to me. It just takes a few seconds. So it's no big deal for me. Other than that, that is how I create maps in AlienRPG. I hope this has been informative for you. I love making these maps, and I love being able to give people the means to make the maps themselves. So more power to you, you know. Uh, if anyone has any questions, be sure to ask me in the comments or put a comment on the Reddit post since I will be posting this onto Reddit as well. I'll be sure to answer all of those. And I hope you guys all have a great day. This has been Hunter Doodles on Reddit or Gilboy. And I hope you guys all have a pleasant day and have a good time in Alien RPG. All right. Thank you.